that, and the withdrawal of the circular was communicated in another circular by the Director of Human Resources at the Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Aderonke Jayesimi. The internal circular, dated August 2nd and cited by news correspondents on Thursday, was addressed to all directors and heads of departments. Jayesimi said that she's directed to refer to our internal circular in the ministry of late August 2024 on the above subject matter and to inform you that the internal circular is hereby withdrawn. Further details will be communicated in due course. Well, I don't know. A lot of people have. It's been this particular headline has been met with mixed reactions since the dwindling of the end bad governance protests. It is said that the federal government has decided that okay, since there's no more protests, let's go ahead and end the circular for selling bags of rice to Nigerians. Well, what do you think about that? Still on this hunger protest, victims and families have recounted ordeals and they are demanding bailout. As the End Bad Governance nationwide protest is fizzling out, many Nigerians, especially in the north, will live with the wounds and scars and financial losses for a long time to come. The protests against economic hardship started August 1st and continued even after President Bola Tinubu called for an end to the demonstrations that faced a crackdown from security forces who reportedly shot at the protesters in various states in the northern part of the country. The cost of living crisis was fueled by surging inflation at a 28-year high and government economic policies that pushed the naira to record lows against the dollar. At least 17 persons were reportedly killed in Abuja, Kano, Niger, Borno, Kaduna, Jigawa, with several others injured on the opening day of the protest against the nation's worst cost of living crisis in a generation and against the corruption and alleged bad governance that have stifled its development. In Suleja, a major town in Niger State, 6 people were feared killed when the protesters reportedly attempted to invade a police station. 4 people allegedly died on the spot, while others who sustained gunshot wounds were rushed to the Gwagwalada General Hospital. 2 of the wounded died on the way to the hospital. We know that the security forces have been accused of using excessive force in the nationwide protest, even though we had the Nigerian police force spokesman, Muyiwa Adejobi, admitting the instances of killings during the protest, but he claimed that none were carried out by the police. He talked about the fact that there were no live ammunitions fired by the police. But we've recounted different situations where Nigerians have come out to say, well, my son is dead. There's a particular lady in Kano who came out to talk about the fact that her son is dead, and it was as a result of gunshots fired sporadically by the policemen that her son died. A stray bullet hit her son. Well, still on this issue of the ending bad governance protest, organizers have planned a 1 million man protest in 36 states and the FCT on Saturday. Take It Back movement, one of the key organizers of the End Bad Governance protest, has scheduled Saturday for a 1 million man protest in all the 36 states and the FCT. Mr. Sanyolu Juwon, national coordinator of the movement, stated this in a statement on Thursday in Abuja. He said the Take It Back movement, side by side with other organizers and organizations, will on August 10th lead a monumental 1 million man protest in each of the 36 states of Nigeria and the FCT. This event will mark a critical juncture in the nationwide End Bad Governance in Nigeria campaign, which began on August 1st, 2024. It started as a planned 10-day protest but has evolved into a sustained and widespread movement, drawing participants from every corner of Nigeria and the diaspora as well. Still looking at the headlines this morning, we have a couple of other headlines that are not necessarily related to the End Bad Governance protest. We have they're all related, to be honest. Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State has said that the recent hunger protest in the north is a wake-up call for governors in the region. The governor said that the majority of protesters in Nasarawa were Almajiris who did not even know the meaning of the protest. Meanwhile, the northerners have come out to say that they are hungry there's a level of hunger that is unprecedented. They've never experienced so far in the country. We'll watch and see how all this plays out. Meanwhile, we have a particular individual coming out to talk about the fact that the North will report President Tinubu to Almighty Allah tomorrow, which is today, on Friday. Sheikh Dr. Abdullahi Balalao has come out to say that the North will report the president to Almighty Allah today. I don't know what he means by that, but we're watching to see how in civic space. This is according to Amnesty International. They've condemned that particular raid on the head office of the NLC in Abuja on Wednesday night. Meanwhile, the DSS came out to say that, well, they weren't involved in the NLC headquarters raid. I mean, this has gone on. It's something that has happened one too many times. You see raids occurring, and then whatever agency that was torchlighted in that particular raid will give a rebuttal saying they were not involved. Well, is it spirits that was involved? Who then was involved in the raiding of the NLC? Do you know what it means to raid the NLC? That's a huge thing. So you raided the NLC and all of a sudden it's not the DSS, it's not the police, it's not any security agency in the country. Who are they? Are they unknown gunmen? Who are they? Well, there's a lot to be said about what's going on in the country. The rule of law, the way we take security agencies and the way we take security agents as well. Meanwhile, there's an airstrike that destroyed a bomb factory in Borno State. The Nigerian Air Force has said, says the air component of Operation Hadin Kai has destroyed terrorist improvised explosive devices factory at Graza, a location deep in the Mandara Hills in Borno State. Well, we'll watch and see how all of this drama is playing out. Meanwhile, Dele Momodu was in the news and he was talking about the nationwide protest, and he gave his own expectations, telling Nigerians that he expected the president Tinubu to slash a significant number of his cabinet members. Well, let's check out what he had to say. Right after that, we'll be reaching out to Rufai Oseni. Meanwhile, we are live on YouTube. You should join us live on YouTube at Voice of the People Abuja. We're live on YouTube. Join us, Voice of the People Abuja, and so you can see some of these videos that we're playing just for you. Take a listen.
Both of them are very unfortunate, and to answer you frontally, to ask a question, is there bad governance in Nigeria? I don't think that is in doubt. Every Nigerian agrees on that, and I say it, including the aides of President, Mr. President, who cannot say it in his presence, but they grumble behind him. I say it everywhere. He's my friend, he's my big brother, and if anybody will deceive him, I will remain the only one who will continue to tell him that you are surrounded by liars who are telling Nigeria has never been this bad. I'm not an economist. The other day, someone said because I studied Yoruba, I can't speak about it. The economy is different from economics. The economy is personal, is internal, and it can be external. Economics is textbook. Every time we hear IMF said, according to certain indices, Nigeria today, I don't know, you are a big man, Ruby. Maybe you are not feeling it.
I'm a struggling journalist.
So if you are a struggling journalist, now imagine the ordinary man on the street. And seriously speaking, it is unfortunate. Because, look, I want us to be practical. I don't want to come here and be repeating and rehashing what people say about government is not doing this. I want to say what government should be doing. That's being practical. The reason why I would say this government is failing is because, number one, they've not been able to check the profligacy that goes on in government in Nigeria. So what I would expect President Tinubu to do, and for him to be able to assure the nation that it means well for the nation. It's not about throwing money around. We've decided to give 50,000 naira to 3 million people. 3 million people amongst how many people? Over 200 million. It's a drop in the ocean. So I expect him to say, today, I am merging some of the ministries. As long as you meet the constitutionally required number of ministries, then cut off the rest. Number two, all these SSAs, every day they are awarding appointments like popcorn. Like popcorn. Every day. You just remember, the daughter of my friend, the son of my former school teacher. You can't run Nigeria the way you run Lagos State. In Lagos, it's just a state, and then maybe because it's a state, a very wealthy one at that, you can afford that. But nationally, the level of poverty in Nigeria does not allow that. Then all this living large, outlandish lifestyle. You want to buy presidential jet, you want to build multi-billionaire home. Unreasonable example from Kenya. When the demonstration started in Kenya, our good friend William Ruto thought it was the usual, they will come out for 2-3 days, we will suppress them. Today is begging for oxygen. And I pray they don't drive these young Nigerians to that level, because the level of desperation is unprecedented in the country. So the president must come out. It's not a question of when I'm traveling, I will be due. So that is my reaction to that. Profligacy is key. Everything else emanates from that. When they say we don't have money, we don't have money, but they have money for politicians. Chief MK.
All right. Hello, Mr. Rufai.
Bless you.
Good morning to you.
Morning. Thank you for having me. Bless Abuja.
All right. So we get started with the federal government suspending registration for the 40,000 naira bag of rice.
Why are they suspending it yesterday? So was this a charade in the first place? Integrity, when you are not giving us the real information behind it. So the question is, are they going to continue it? Because you can't promise people and say, okay, bags of rice. Because before you say that you're even going to, you will have had the bag of rice on ground in the first place. So this government must do everything to restore the integrity. And I'm sure this government has not failed, because President Tinubu announced it in a speech and they were praising him. The truth is, it originally didn't emanate from him. That 570 billion he said that went to the state, it was from COVID-19 money that the World Bank released then. So he can't claim it as his own victory. And hope the states know that it's not a grant, it's a loan.
There seems to be
matters. Yeah, go ahead.
There seems to be a lot of confusion, especially from the part of, or miscommunication, let me put it like that, especially from the part of the federal government, especially as regards what it is doing to ensure that this level of hunger that Nigerians are facing is abated, or at least is mitigated. We're talking about COVID-19 relief funds. We're talking about loans here and there. We're talking about 20 trucks of rice. True.
And that's why we say, you know what? We want to see reality, not just communication and words. Okay, yesterday, I was with some top media executives, the Minister of Information, Bayo Onanuga, and a couple of other people. And I pointed it out to them that you people say you cultivated 500 hectares of land. They said, they've cultivated it, that they even have videos that they showed it on NTA. But the question, I said, where's the food? So the fact that you cultivated big hectare, that it's all cultivated land, and there might be nothing in the ground. There must not be any seed in the ground. Where is the food? The taste of the pudding, they say, is in the eating. They don't say the taste of the pudding is in the making of the pudding. The taste of the pudding is in the eating. You can't tell me you cultivated 500,000 hectares. So part of the advice I gave them yesterday was also information. And I told them, stop being toxic to the Nigerian people. I said, what you do speaks so loud that people can't hear what you say. You are saying Nigeria should endure hardship. The lawmakers are enjoying feeding fat. The president wants to buy a presidential jet of close to 200 billion. And you expect people not to speak. The governors are everywhere. The governors, most of the northern governors, even when that crisis happened in the north during the protest, they were gallivanting everywhere. So these are the issues on ground.
Mr. Rufai, I just wanted to find out. I don't know if you were in Lagos during the time of the president when he was the governor of the state. I wanted to find out if he has had a history of good communication so far. And
You see, things were a lot better then. And one of the other things, he befriended the media early. Things were a lot better. He befriended the media so he could craft a narrative. Most of the work was pretty much done by his predecessors like Fashola and the likes. But he quickly befriended the media and he crafted this larger than life attitude. That's why it looked as though he was communicating. And there were commissioners really that were really working. You forget that in that cabinet you had the likes of Oshibaju. You forget in that cabinet you also had the likes of Dele Alaki. You forget in that cabinet you had, some people. But you see what you do on a state, you can't compare it to a national scale. Lagos is just one out of the 36 states, and that's the problem we keep telling him. National governance is a whole lot different. Take, for instance, media aggregation is different. I'll give you a clear instance. For my research recently, I discovered that even when it comes to social media, you want to talk to parts of the north. TikTok goes farther in the north than your Facebook and the likes.
Yes.
It's from my research I discovered it. Then TikTok goes viral quickly in the north than your Facebook. So if you want to post videos that can address this as regards what's happening in the north, TikTok. There's a lot of TikTok injection. So communication means you must know the kind of media to use. It's not everybody that's on Twitter. It's not everybody that's on Facebook. Some is Instagram. So the thing is, and it's not everybody that is watching NTA. What's the span of maybe government workers and the north? A lot more conventional people are plugging onto other channels. It's not everybody that watches TV. Some people are radio buffs. So that's why you're sprinkling, because the DG of the National Heritage Agency was also there. That's what I was telling you. The National Heritage Agency also needs to heighten their work. But he has not done well. And in fact, they admit that they can do a lot more better as regards the communication in the meeting we had yesterday. They admit. So for all of those that say, Rufai, you are always attacking. Yesterday, I was advising government, like I do every day. Because in the end, if you prosper, it's for the benefit of all of us.
Mr. Rufai, I wonder, during the PDP's rule, right, during their administration, we saw a little bit more accountability in terms of communicating with Nigerians. Could it be that it was the brazenness of the Buhari's administration where the National Assembly would call a particular head of an MDA and the person will refuse to come, and there were no repercussions as to that particular misbehavior or whatever I want to call it? So could it be a result of the brazen disregard for accountability during the Buhari's administration that gave precedence to this level of, I don't know what to call it, for Nigerians? So I don't know. What do you think?
Edward Moore, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Edward Murrow said something. He said, in a country where the leaders are wolves, the people will become a sheep. As long as the people keep becoming sheep by not asking for accountability, the leaders will keep becoming wolves in this country. And that's what's happening to Nigeria. So we've set a precedent where people are very brazen. They don't want to be held accountable, and we can't build a society that way. So there's a collective demand on asking the tough questions from our leaders. So if we do not do that, then you see them brazen. And these days they become more brazen because when you are trying to retribute them and correct them, then you still have some other people that are asked that are saying leave them alone because they are benefiting from them. So we need to fix that angle. If we don't fix that angle, we don't succeed.
All right. Well, we know that during this end bad governance protest, it was predominantly escalated in the north. Well, there's been a conversation on social media that we saw the north protect Buhari's administration. Now there's hunger and they're coming out now, and there's just been a bit of, I don't know,
No.
a
That's a skewed
tribalistic
narrative.
undertone.
That's not a correct narrative.
Hmm.
When we had the COVID riots, because we forget in a hurry this country that we also have COVID riots. We forget in a hurry. You see, the problem we have with Nigeria is selective memory amnesia. We had COVID riots where looting happened.
Yes.
We had lockdown riots, if you remember,
Hmm.
where looting happened. There are a lot of those lootings too in the north. Who was president? It wasn't in Buhari. Wasn't it the just that they looted the warehouse where they stored the food they had to give the people? You forget that people also lost their lives in that COVID riot. You forget that there was a mass, criminal gang that were out in Lagos and other parts during the COVID riots. And those COVID riots was a precursor to NSAS, because NSAS happened just after lockdown. So I don't think we should skew it across lines or all of that. People are hungry, people are suffering. Forget it. Let's not deceive ourselves.
All right. We have hunger protest victims and their families recounting ordeals, talking about the fact that they've lost a lot in lives and property, whatever the case
Very
may
sad
be.
about what happened. I feel very sad, and that's why we keep calling on people: don't hijack anything. But I think the most important thing is how can we reduce crime and criminality? Because even if it's not protest, people still lose a lot. People still lose a lot. Let me ask you a question, Gessi. Was there a protest before what made the military to go and lock up Banex Plaza? Because over phone.
No.
Do you know the revenue people lost in Banex Plaza over there? So there's a pervasive level of lawlessness. And that's why when people hide under prayer and say, oh, protests will bring about lawlessness. There's already a pervasive system of lawlessness in Nigeria. Let's stop deceiving ourselves. Was there a protest going on before bandits went to attack people? So there's already a pervasive system of lawlessness that we should work at reducing or improving upon.
All right. Even though we know that the force spokesperson, Olumuyiwa Adejobi, he's come out to say that, well, the police didn't have any live ammunitions during the protest. Parents have come out to complain about the fact that their children are dead. So who shot them? What happened? How did we lose people?
The police should answer the question. They use live bullets. We saw live bullet shells on the ground. I beg you. You should stop lying. So what killed the military bullet that killed the child in Kaduna or somewhere in the north?
Kano.
Were those fake bullets? Did we see live bullet shells? So they should stop lying. I beg you. They should come out and speak the truth.
All right, because
the bullets that hit their fellow police officer that they claimed was dead after they claimed he resurrected. What bullet was that? Was he magic bullets? They should stop telling lies to the people. They should speak the truth at all times.
All right, so we have the Take It Back movement, one of the key organizers of the End Bad Governance nationwide protest. They are scheduling another 1 million man protest in all the 36 states and the FCT for Saturday, August 10th, which is tomorrow. I don't know what that's going to look like because we've seen the excessive use of force, especially from the part of the security agencies.
We can only tell the police to protect people and protect life and interest and make the protest peaceful. There's nowhere in the world you ever see that I will say people do not have a right to protest. It's enshrined in the Constitution. It's part of their constitutional rights. It's for the police to make it safe and the authorities to make it safe. That's just it. So let's forget this gaslighting of these authorities that it will lead to violence. It's not going to work. Because in the end, when you look at it, they start up the violence. They are the ones that use excessive force. So let's stop all of this. There's nowhere in the world you will tell me to argue that people's fundamental rights must not be respected, except you say go and pull it out of the Constitution and we know we're a banana republic. Why is it that is anything that concerns government protest will happen? People protest every day now. Don't you see people do road work, protest in support of breast cancer? Breast cancer awareness month. Why doesn't that lead to violence? Why doesn't that lead to violence? I guess let's not give these people unnecessary pressure. Have a blessed day, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a lovely weekend as well.
Yeah.
All right, to you listening, do you think these protests are going to yield any results? Because we've seen the federal government saying, okay, these are the things that they're doing in response, because the president said he's heard Nigerians. And one of the things that he said he has heard Nigerians with was the selling of bags of rice for 40,000 naira to civil servants, which they have now withdrawn. So is there going to be any result? Are you going to yield any results from protesting? That's the question this morning, right? Are there going to be results from protesting? Already we have people who are saying that they're going to drag the president and report them to Almighty Allah. And some people are laughing about that, saying, well, where was Allah when all these issues have been going on in the country? While people are suffering, people are dying, people are hungry. Where was Allah during that period? So just let me know your thoughts, right? It is at 0808 312 8618. 0808 312 8618 is the number to call to be a part of our conversation this morning. Can protests yield any results, especially looking at some of the body languages of some individuals in the government, right? Will it yield any results? Let me know on WhatsApp. It is at 0808 312 8618. But before we do that, we're going to be taking some voices in the news. We're watching or listening rather to Daily Momodu. Let's take a listen to this particular conversation that was had with Prophet Isa El Buba, who's a convener of Initiative for a Better and Brighter Nigeria. Let's take a listen to what he had to say about this nationwide protests.
Let me bring you to this. I think this is one of the things that is really, really getting me hard and hot within me. I've observed in this country that we love to sit on the chair of deception and lies. And I'm being very frank with you. Most of the political class, I say most, and that means 90%, come to a stage where they feel they can lie on the people and deceive the people or manipulate the people. Now, let me give you this about this protest. I never knew there was even any plan by anybody. I was in Warri having my conference. I was on a national tour. And I was going from state to state by road. I want to see the state of the nation, so that when we are praying, we know that we are praying specific issues. And I tell you the truth. I've never seen Nigerians in pain like the way I've seen them this time. I've never. When I confronted the former president, I confronted him because I told the nation. This time around, I went on a tour road and I saw the state of the nation. I was in Warri, and God spoke to me to confront the government, to do things quickly and put things right. People are suffering, and there are things that just ordinary, let me use the word, ordinary mind should be able to tell you. I'm not well educated, but at least there are simple things that an ordinary person should know. Short-term, mid-term, and long-term goal. What do we do with the pain that we've thrown the people into? This president threw Nigerians into uncommon pain. People are eating grass. People are eating leaves.
So would you say that it was not about ending the government, but writing?
It will amaze you.
Yeah, because
it will amaze you to know this, that not one person has given 1 penny. Not one person has spoken to me. All my chapters across the country, when I called for the protest, I said, if the president do not act on alleviating the pain of Nigerians, we will get on the street. That was when, after that broadcast, a group of young people from Kano, Sokoto, Kaduna, Borno, and all of that, on the Twitter space, over 110,000. I got in there and I heard what the young men were discussing. And that was when I knew that, yes, the North is ready to bring about a change that has never been.
Over hunger
And the level of poverty and suffering in the land and insecurity.
All right. Well, that was the voice of El Buba, who Prophet Issa El Buba, who is a convener of Initiative for a Better and Brighter Nigeria, talking about the nationwide protests, talking about 90% of Nigerian politicians love to sit on the chair of deception and lies. I'll be speaking with Mr. Larry in just a bit, looking at the effect of protests. This particular protest so far, has it done what it's supposed to do? Because whenever you embark on something, whenever you have a goal, right, has that particular project done what exactly you set out to make it do? That's the conversation we'll be having with Mr. Larry in just a bit, and just looking at the state of the nation, and then this 1 million man protest that is set to occur on Saturday. We'll be having that conversation in just a bit. Stay tuned.
I want to see the state of the nation.
Good morning to you. Welcome. This is the Arena on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. My name is Gesere Agua. This morning, it's Friday, so we're going to just be looking at every single activity that happened all through the week, from last week, with the start of the protest, into this week, and what's happening at the moment. We'll be having that conversation with Mr. Larry, who is now our in-house person. There's nothing he can do about that. Good morning, Mr. Larry. Welcome.
Good morning. So how is Abuja today?
Abuja is good. There's still fuel queues, but hopefully we see a change in that. But there's still fuel queues. That's it.
So good morning, Abuja. I guess that it will get better soon enough. I was all of these bus banks. When I say bus banks, I mean I want to assume that what we are passing through now is a real labor pain for delivering a new Nigeria. I hope it gets better soon.
All right, we'll watch and see how all that plays out. First of all, let's just look at the hunger protest, the end bad governance protest nationwide. It's fizzled out. Many Nigerians, especially in the north, however, they'll live with wounds and scars and financial losses for a long time to come. The protest against economic hardship, it started August 1st. It continued even after the president called for an end to the demonstrations. It faced a crackdown from security forces who shot at protesters in various states in the northern part of the country. We had a lot of people coming out to say that maybe one person or the other was killed due to the sporadic shooting in Kano, as well as some other parts of the country. At least 17 persons were reportedly killed in Abuja, Kano, Niger, Borno, Kaduna, and Jigawa, with several others who were injured on the opening day of the protest, moving on as well. So first of all, Mr. Larry, the amount of losses that were incurred during this particular protest, would you say the protest actually, it was worth it? Would you say it was worth it? Did the protest do what it was? Did it achieve what it was supposed to achieve, which was let the president know that Nigerians are hungry and get him to change some of the policies that he has been putting in place?
Your question is very simple. The question is, was it? In other words, was the loss of life? Was the disruption to our daily lives and routines? I guess that's what you mean by that question, isn't it? And I must start by saying that nobody sets out to do a protest with the intention of losing a life. Nobody expected that a soldier was going to shoot a teenager at Zaria. Nobody expected that people were going to die in circumstances that are completely avoidable. So I think it's important that we start with that. The organizers of the protest and the protesters did not envisage a situation where people would lose their lives. The basic idea was to protest hunger and bad governance in the land peacefully. Having said that, the question is, now that these things happened, is it worth it? Should we have even embarked on the protest in the first place? The answer is still yes. Why is the answer yes? Because more people have died of hunger than of protest in the past few weeks. More persons have died of avoidable causes. Hunger in Nigeria has killed a lot of people. Nigerians have been trekking across the Saharan desert to get to Europe, primarily because of hunger and deprivation in Nigeria. Hundreds of them die in the desert. The painful part of that death is that their families do not even know whether they are alive or dead, because they don't see any corpses. Very often they get messages from fellow wanderers that so and so person died. There are Nigerians that are missing without a trace. Some of them vanished in the desert trying to get to the proverbial greener pastures. Nigerians died because politicians literally swallow monuments for the hospitals and healthcare related issues. Nigerians die because our roads are pothole infested, sometimes impassable. Nigerians have been known to be crushed on the roads because petrol tankers and trailers ferrying containers from one part of the country to another practically topple over because of bad roads. You see, when we talk about Nigerians dying because they protested, while we do not want Nigerians to die and we do not hope that anybody will die in protest, I want to submit clearly that hundreds of Nigerians die every month from avoidable causes directly linked to hunger and bad governance. As a matter of fact, thousands of Nigerians die every year. That is tens of thousands. If you include infants who die before the age of 5 because we have refused to set up a proper primary health care treatment system across Nigeria. If you look at all of those, you'll find out that it's worth it. It's more than worth it. We didn't set out for anybody to die, but it's still more than worth it. I've always explained that sometimes in the course of playing safe, we actually play into the hands of danger. We play into the hands of death. South Africa paid a huge price to extricate that nation from the clutches of apartheid. Children were shot. Sharpeville massacre, Soweto massacre. It's not as if when they set out to demonstrate that they expected that the South African secret police was going to nail down, aim, and shoot at young people with live bullets. They said, oh, they're using children as human shields, so we're going to shoot them anyhow. They did. At that time, they shot the kids. Apartheid didn't collapse, but that particular heinous act helped to galvanize the world to say this must stop. Not a few days ago, not too long ago, just a few days ago, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh resigned and fled. It cost Bangladesh's 300 lives. They didn't plan it. Nobody goes to demonstrate or to protest with the intention to die. I keep saying that. But you see, people don't also seek to get to Europe by road with the intention to die. Nigerians don't embark on their journeys traveling from maybe Abuja to Benin, passing through treacherous roads, or Benin to Warri with the intention to die. They don't expect that while they're on traffic in Lagos or somewhere else, that a trailer will topple over and crush them in their car. People don't get up in the morning with the intention to die. But be that as it may, people die. And I've said again and again that Nigerians die more from avoidable sources and reasons based on the actions and inactions of government than the people we lose insisting that things must be done well. So if Nigerians die in the course of this protest, what we need to do is to immortalize those who have died by doing a few things. One, let us know precisely who they are, their names and all that. Two, let us insist that in memory of these slain heroes, that we must accomplish the dream. That is the dream of a Nigeria that will take care of its citizens properly, a Nigeria that its citizens will not emigrate to lesser nations for refuge or for succor. That is what we owe them. But the truth is that, yes, was it worth it? Yes. Have we finished with the protest? No. Is it work in progress? Yes.
Mr. Larry, there's an argument here that this hunger didn't start with this particular administration. I mean, the series of bad decisions that we've had so far didn't start with this administration. Some people could also argue that the fact remains that the poor you will always have. Some people will argue a lot of things, especially with regards to this conversation.
Let me help you. We don't want to waste time on this. Let me help you diffuse that argument in a very simple way. When Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came to power, he inherited a presidential jet. After a few months, he told us that the presidential jet is not fit for purpose, that he doesn't like it. As far as I'm concerned, it's not that it's not working well, because he has been flying with it up and down. That plane is not more than 20 years, so it's like a new plane. We buy 20-year-old cars and go to church and dedicate them and dance. All he needed to do was to refurbish the plane. But guess what? Our dear president decided to buy a brand new jet for himself. So he inherited a problem ostensibly from previous administrations. Because the problem concerns him, he fixed it in a few months. Now, a man we call our vice president also inherited a palatial mansion, the vice president's residence. He considered it a problem that, no, I don't live in this kind of house. Probably my personal house is more opulent, so I don't like it. He fixed it in a few months. So if he also inherited our hunger and inherited our suffering, he should also fix it in a few months, not to aggravate it by saying subsidy has gone and then you don't have any plans to manage the subsidy better. We are not the only problems he inherited. He inherited other problems and he solved them when they are problems that affect the political elites. So in that same manner, let him also solve our own. They inherited 4-year-old vehicles from the previous National Assembly. It took them a few months to buy hundreds upon hundreds of vehicles at 165 million for each legislator. These are challenges, so to say, that they inherited. Not so compelling problems, not problems at all, but they branded them problems and solved them. Now, the real problems they inherited, on which basis they campaigned and made promises, they have refused to fix. And they are providing a lame argument, very lame argument, that they inherited the problems. So why didn't he just continue flying the plane he inherited? Why didn't the vice president continue to live in the house he inherited? Why didn't the National Assembly members continue to drive the cars they inherited? Why? You see, we are not fools. The fact that Nigerians appear to be indifferent to bad leadership does not mean that Nigerians do not know what is happening or that we cannot reason or think logically. That argument is lame. These are the reasons you campaigned. You told us we are coming in to fix these problems, and you have fixed the problems that concern you. So why don't you fix our own in the same vein? Why?
All right. Still on this issue of protest, right? The federal government had promised Nigerians. I mean, it was one of the things it said it was doing, saying that they had heard the calls of Nigerians, had heard the cries of Nigerians. And you made a joke. Remember, you made a joke about rice and all of that. But the federal government has gone ahead to suspend the registration of the sales for that particular 40,000 naira 50 kg bag of rice. I don't know what to make of this, but Nigerians are saying, well, is it because the protest has dwindled now? You're now taking back some of the promises that you made.
I don't consider giving Nigerians rice a healthy promise. We don't need consumption-based solutions now. We don't need handouts now. We need policies that will solve our problems. I don't want free rice now. I want the ability to go to the farm and cultivate my own rice and eat. There are crops that can be cultivated in 30, that can be cultivated and harvest them in 60 days, 90 days, even 30-day crops. People can't go to the farm. So for me, it's not even a matter of whether they're withdrawing the rice or not. The truth is that the whole rice scam was conceived in the first place. It was not only conceived, the rice was going to get to the table of the rich again. There are some things you don't really want to talk about. But as I speak to you, I've heard rumors, allegations of the same rice appearing in the market in one or two places. Somebody actually offered my friend to purchase some bags of the rice, that this is palliative rice. Whether it is true or not, it's something that we have to further verify. But we know how Nigeria works. I don't need to remind you that a woman who was supposed to have connections and influence had her head broken with a chair because she was trying to get a handout. The same famous rice. People died at Lagos trying to get the same rice. So I think I don't want to get involved with the cost of rice in Nigeria, the cost of rice, where people want to go and get rice and then they lose their lives, they lose their limbs. They can keep the rice if they want to. What I'm more interested in is that they give us policies and solutions that are sustainable, not rice. Every time they will use us to award contracts, take our money and put in their pockets, and even take the rice again and put it on their tables. So I think we need to get to that point where we know precisely what we want. We are not beggars. We are not begging for bowls of rice. I'm ashamed anytime I see Nigerians receiving palliatives and thanking government or donors for giving them food that will last for 2 weeks or 1 month. While I appreciate Nigerians who are philanthropic and they donate food items to less privileged Nigerians. I'm ashamed that any Nigerian will reduce to a level where the person has to go and queue to receive 10 kg bags of rice. That will last for how long? If we are a nation with conscience, we will not allow any Nigerian to go out and sit for a whole day waiting for a truck to arrive so that the person will go home with 10 kg bags of rice. Just that is unthinkable for a nation that is obviously the most endowed nation in the world. We need to think and begin to respect our citizens. We show our citizens on television receiving palliative. That is actually an abuse of their human rights. We have what we call the right to the dignity of the human person. You are showing the whole world that this person is impoverished by the state, and that the state or some billionaires are handing out lifelines in the name of bags of rice or noodles of corn. So you are telling the whole world that the next meal they are going to cook is charity. But these are men and women who are hardworking, who want to go to the farm, cultivate their own food, harvest and eat, and hold their heads high.
Mr. Larry, we're talking about rice.
We want access to our farms.
We're talking about rice right now. Meanwhile, there are lots of Nigerians who would beg for just 1,000 naira. I mean, we saw cases during the protest where people were giving 1,000 naira to participate in the protest to end protests, to say no to protests. We saw cases of that. There were videos online. Nigerians who were offered 3,000 naira. Some they are still owing.
Nigeria reduced them to a level where 1,000 naira becomes a lifeline, a lifesaver. It is Nigeria that reduced them to a level where they are willing. See, hunger is not good though. You see, when a person is hungry, the person's brain does not function properly. It's like a laptop with a virus or a phone with a virus. The person won't think logically. I mean, the person is hungry and is so confused that he cannot understand that if I take this 1,000 naira to go and protest against protest, that maybe in the next 1 month I will need 500 to survive. In other words, I'll be worse off than where I was. But that's what hunger does to people. And that is why politicians in most impoverished African nations do not want people to get out of this subsistence kind of living where everything is just barely a survival ration. That they give access for people to just eat enough to survive, do enough to survive. They don't want you to have space to think. So you're always focused on survival. When a person gets to that point where he or she can accept 1,000 naira, just 1,000, to go and demonstrate against the protest that is supposed to actually provide for him, then it tells you why they reduce Nigerians to pawns in their hands. They are victims of the state policy, actually. And that is why the politicians are not budging. The man made it clear that he's not going to do any policy reversal, that he's going to sit there and ride out the storm. I wish him luck.
All right, so you can join the conversation. It is 0808-312-8618. That is the number to call to be a part of our conversation. 0808-312-8618. We're also live on YouTube at Voice of the People Abuja. Voice of the People Abuja on YouTube. Click that subscribe button as well. And the comment, leave us a comment or two. Let's know that you're listening as well. Now, there's so much happening in the country at the moment. We're seeing the federal government saying that they will not... Okay, we have a... Hello. Good morning to you.
Thank you. My name is Rufai. I'm calling from Abuja.
Ifeanyi, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. I just want to say that this protest was really successful because it actually shook the political class a bit. So it brought back their attention to the deep suffering that is happening in the country every day. So one other thing I would like to point out is our focus on the demand by the people should actually go back to asking for our electoral process to be reformed. particularly for the IREF to be made mandatory for all elections. Okay, so that when the political class know that the people will vote them out if they don't listen and work for the people, then they will do what the people want. Thank you very much. That's my contribution this morning.
All right, thank you so much, Ifeanyi, for your call this morning. 0808-312-8618 is the number to call. Mr. Larry, what's your take?
For me, the primary dividend of democracy is the ability of the people to hire and fire their leaders. And what Ifeanyi said is actually like a silver bullet. If we have an electoral process that is transparent and works, and we have an enlightened electorate, between the two, we won't be protesting, because the people who inflict this kind of injury on us won't even find their way to power. So he made a brilliant suggestion. And I think we should make it a central demand, reform INEC. Not just the IRF, which is central, but reform INEC, the entire structure. Let us go back to what Yar'Adua planned to do. From the process of appointing the boss of INEC to all the other reforms. We live in a country where INEC commissioners will be appointed, card-carrying politicians will be appointed, and they will be adamant and they will want them there. So INEC has been so compromised through these appointments and magic that they do that. It's a fundamental issue. And I think it's good that Ifeanyi raised that matter.
All right, Mr. Larry, there's going to be a 1 million man protest tomorrow in the 36 states. The Take It Back movement, they've come out to say that they will be embarking on another protest scheduled for Saturday to drive their point home to Nigerians and their leaders, to let them know that we're not going to take this lying low. This level of hunger is unprecedented in Nigeria. But I'm a bit skeptical, especially on the part of the security agencies. We saw them impose undue pressure, undue force on Nigerians during the End Bad Governance nationwide protests. And now we're seeing another one here. What's your take on this?
Yeah, basically, the 1 million march protest is an extension, if you ask me, of the End Bad Governance protest. It's a way to reform and improve on what happened before now. The focus before now was apparently on the federal government, but the concept of marching in 36 states makes a lot of sense to me personally, because the governors cannot be absolved from the hunger in the land. Our governors have been largely irresponsible in the way they manage public funds. They sit like emperors and appropriate money to bogus projects and useless projects at the expense of the people. Governors build brand new mansions, brand new government houses when they know that they will be there for not more than 8 years. They waste all kinds of money on their own pensions and gratuities. They waste money on foreign travel, on appointing useless special assistants, practically useless. Some of them don't have offices and desks, yet they are paid salaries. So we need to also, while we compel the federal government to do the needful, we need to also hold the governors accountable, hold ministers accountable, hold commissioners accountable. Everybody who is appointed to work in the leadership space in Nigeria should be made to account for his or her stewardship. But now that we are also going to give local government chairmen funds directly, we need to hold all of them accountable and ensure that whatever resources you get, whether you're president, governor, local government chairman, commissioner, minister, head of board or parastatal, any institution you lead in this country, you should be able to account to the people for how your stewardship is going. So I think this particular match is supposed to expand the impact of the protests to affect people who hitherto have been just largely trying to help the federal government by making fancy statements. I hope that the heat will turn on the governors now and the other political appointees, so that they will also understand that it's not just about the presidency, it's about all of the political systems that support irresponsible leadership in Nigeria.
Mr. Larry, we've also had governors who themselves have called on the president to do something about it, do something about the level of hunger in the country. I'm trying to find out which particular governor in particular has called out the president rather for this issue of hunger in the country. I mean, there's so much accountability. We as citizens have our own accountability, to answer to. The governors have their own accountability. On the part of the citizens, we see situations where Nigerians are bribe givers, we are bribe collectors, we are people who enjoy breaking the normal procedure, breaking a regular procedure just for favor or one thing or the other.
Sorry, let me add one that you are missing out on. The people even support dubious politicians to have access to political power by helping them to rig elections, fight for them, and do all sorts. The people do that, not the sons and daughters of those politicians.
Exactly. So in this particular situation now, how can we hold ourselves accountable? Because we cannot just it's not a one-sided thing. Even if we have good people in power, if you have one or two bad eggs who are trying to influence in one way or the other, there's still going to be a problem of corruption whether we like it or not. I mean, look at the particular lady from immigrations who was suspended for asking for funds from travelers.
Well, I think it's important that we get to that point where we understand that leadership has a critical role to play, but followership also has an important role. The first thing I want to point out is that the leaders emerge ultimately from among the followers. We shouldn't discountenance that. So we must also keep an eye on ourselves while we keep an eye on the leaders. And when we talk about holding ourselves accountable, that is where especially civil society organizations should come in. Under civil society, you also have faith-based organizations. We have institutions that should champion the process of rejigging the consciousness, the citizenship consciousness of the average Nigerian. Unfortunately, these institutions are not doing that. And that is why I want to use this opportunity to salute Prophet Isa Ebuba for the role he has played in not only organizing a very peaceful protest in Jos, but also for being a voice literally in the wilderness, insisting that things must be done well and that the people should take responsibility for holding their leaders accountable. If most of the faith-based organization leaders, whether they are Christians, Muslims, traditional worshippers, whatever they do, if they lend their voices to influencing the people under their watch, like Isa Ebuba has done in the space, the country will be on a path of rapid transformation. Unfortunately, the leaders of these other institutions, because when we talk about leadership, we talk only about politics, but we have very important leaders who are not politicians. We have leaders of labor unions. We have leaders of market associations. We have leaders of faith-based organizations. We have leaders of community-based associations. If all of these other leaders gradually begin to gravitate towards holding leaders accountable for good governance and working with transformational policies, these things will happen much faster because these are the same people they go to when they want to hoodwink the people and get their votes. So it's not rocket science for us to transform ourselves, but we need to ask ourselves, what quality of men and women do we have in leadership of civil society organizations, even NGOs? You find out that a lot of people who lead these organizations also think like the politicians. Unfortunately so, very unfortunately so. They are not driven by the urge to transform the society. They are driven by the urge to transform their bank accounts. And that is what the people are suffering from. So what do? We should rise above relying on those people that is who are not interested in our welfare. When we see the shaft of light, we should follow. And then for those of us who have content, who have capacity, but who are waiting for a platform, you don't need any platform. You don't need any platform. All you have to do is to start doing what you can do from where you are to the extent which you can do it. As time goes on, you will be given bigger platforms to do that. We have brilliant people. I mean, look at the submission Ifeanyi just made. We have brilliant Nigerians scattered all over the place. That business of going out in the day, earning a living and going back home. But you forget that if you don't contribute actively to holding leaders accountable, that your capacity to go home and come back and earn a living may be scuttled. There are some people who used to go to the farm, cultivate crops and earn a living. Today they can't go to the farm again because of bad governance. So if we don't hold leaders accountable, even the peace that you're looking for may elude you. So we are saying that people must begin to understand the meaning of leadership. A leader is a person who influences another person to go in a certain direction. So if you lead 10 persons, if you lead 50 persons, begin to influence them to go in the right direction. If we have that consciousness and we begin to deploy, then we will succeed. And this is also an opportunity to reach out to media houses. Thank God for the voice of the people. Media has a critical role to play. There are some media houses that are there to just tell us what is happening, and very often even tweet the story, give it a twist that will favor the politicians who are willing to pay the bills. We need media houses that will be objective in their reportage, that will be inspiring when they challenge people to do the right thing. And that is also a very critical element of nation building. It was the media that facilitated and catalyzed the process of genocide and pogrom in Rwanda. But it was also the media that they played a critical role in helping some other nations reconstruct their country. You know, if you look at nations that mobilize people successfully to rebuild their nations, media also play a critical role. So I think the media should also be responsible and know that they are wielding public trust, and that public trust should be used in the interest of the people.
All right, Mr. Larry, going on, because tomorrow is the said 1 million man protest that is a sequel to the End Bad Governance protest. What exactly is your advice to Nigerians, especially looking at the fact that there has been proven so far criminal elements who can go ahead and make a protest that was supposed to be peaceful completely unpeaceful for a lot of well-meaning Nigerians? So how exactly are they going to go about it in a way that we do not go around looting businesses that are unconnected to the government? These are personal private businesses. We're going around looting public infrastructure that we will probably lose out of. In a video from Kano State, we saw them hitting the traffic light. This is light that is needed for your own safety, for you using the roads. So there are a lot of Nigerians who are there to just cause a bit of mayhem. So what's the advice moving into the 1 million
I think
man
we need
protest?
to, yes, even as leaders mobilize and organize for protests, there is also a responsibility to organize for peaceful and well-organized protest marches. In other words, the same channels that people use to mobilize protesters should also be used to guide them on how to behave during protests. Thank God for devices. Thank God for social media. It is not very difficult to advise people on how to behave during protests. It is also important that we understand that the purpose of protest is not to punish ourselves. When you damage public infrastructure, you're punishing yourself. Whether the infrastructure or assets belong to individuals or to government, they are assets and should not be damaged. So protesters should conduct themselves peacefully. They should not block roads unnecessarily. They should not barricade roads under any condition whatsoever. They should not vandalize property. They should not hit on people's vehicles or do things that will make people upset and unnecessarily angry. They should not insult or attack those who, for one reason or the other, choose not to join the protest. Some people may not join physically, but their hearts and prayers and sympathy may be with you. Some people may have personal emergencies and other reasons not to join. In any case, everybody will not join. Some people will be spectators, but when you win the victory, they will enjoy. So we need to also get people to understand that they must be vigilant. They must watch out for people who may come to either attack them or pretend to be part of the protest so that they will unleash mayhem on other persons. We know what happened at Lagos. When touts went to Alausa in Ikeja to attack the protesters, they overpowered them because they were prepared. They were prepared for them. They were prepared in advance. So mobilizing for protests is one aspect of the job. Also enlightening the protesters on how to conduct themselves and manage the situation is another aspect of the job. Even managing the police or other security agents that may be violent is another aspect of the job. People should be taught not to be unnecessarily provoking or confrontational. And in the face of shooting, once there is threat of shooting, they shouldn't just run, they should lie down. A soldier or a policeman does not shoot towards the floor, they aim straight. So people need to know, and when a person is lying down, if the person is not harmful in any way. So I think we need to actually explain some of these things to people. But as much as possible, we should also avoid confrontations that may lead to shooting. Unfortunately, Nigeria is one of the few countries in the world where protesters who are very peaceful are dispatched with live bullets. It shouldn't happen anywhere. We have Order 237 that stipulates the circumstances under which a police officer should use a gun. One of them is not when you are dispersing peaceful protesters. Order 237 does not permit that. So I think we need to also find ways to enlighten the security agents. They live among us. They see what happens in public space. We can also begin to remind them of the conditions under which they can use firearms. We should also remind them that they may be shooting at their own nephew or niece or cousin or even son or daughter who they may have told not to protest, and the person joined the protest because the person is aware that even dad is struggling to feed them. So we need to educate everybody, every single person, to understand that the intention of the protest is not to lose lives or to maim people or to damage property. The intention is to call our leaders to order, to get them to notice that Nigerians are not only suffering, but they are literally dying of hunger and deprivation. And that is not acceptable. We didn't vote for them to kill us. We voted for them to nourish us, to enhance our lives.
All right. I think we'll call it a wrap on the end bad governance protest conversation, and as well as the state of the nation. But looking at the state of the nation, Mr. Larry, I'm moving on to sports right now because we do not have a medal. It's really is disheartening. But I wanted to get your 2 cents on that before.
Yes. It makes me sad. I love our friend, your sports analyst. What's his name again? Nonso, you made me cry, literally speaking, when you said you are looking for any color at all. Giant of Africa. We used to have many medals. We were the kings of sprint in Africa, the king of sprints in Africa. The world used to quake when the Nigerian 4x400 relay, that men or women come on track. Today, because of bad governance, no deliberate investment in sports, none at all. If you go to small African countries, in South Africa, communities have stadiums where people can practice, engage in different sporting activities. It's not a miracle that South Africa is always winning medals in different international competitions. They invest. Look at Kenya. They are moving from long distance to sprint. They invest. Look at Nigeria. Everything is fire brigade. Everything is colored with tribal politics, religious politics, nepotism. How can the country work? People don't get support until the eve of the election. Then some miserable politicians will start donating money to them. Money for what? If you don't prepare, you will not win the medals. It's not a matter of incentive or motivation. Oh, if you do magic, I'll give you 1 million when you come back. No, it doesn't work like that. Some people prepare for Olympics for 8 years before the Olympics. And then you want to prepare in 8 weeks because somebody motivated you with 5 million naira. It doesn't work that way. The same reason why Nigeria is not functioning economically, we're not functioning with education, we're not functioning with other things. The same reason we're not functioning with sports. We are not a serious-minded nation. Until we get our leadership right, nothing will work.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Larry, for your time this morning. I think we'll speak on Monday after we see this 1 million man protest. Hopefully, we'll be watching and it goes peacefully. Thank you so much for your time.
It will go peacefully. God bless Nigeria, and I hope everybody's listening to the voice of the people. You are doing a great job, Gessi, and the station is doing a wonderful job. Keep it up.
All right. Nonso, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Mr. Larry talked about the unseriousness of our leaders. Look at Essie, who's our first ever representative in cycling at the Olympics, and she didn't have a bicycle. She had to borrow from the German team. I don't know how laughable or how much of a slap in our faces that is.
Anyway, to be sincere with you, I think the Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Eno, and of course the Cycling Federation has also come out to state the reason why she didn't have a bicycle. According to them, they said she was not registered to participate in the event that she participated in yesterday, but the event that she was supposed to participate in today. Because of the cost of importation and everything, they decided that her sponsor, who sponsored the sponsoring company, will be in charge of giving her the bicycles, but they only planned on her being part of the team for today. So she found a way wanted to participate yesterday. But maybe she qualified or something of that nature. But there was no bicycle in her hand in particular at the moment, and she had to, make do with what the German team could help her with. Exactly. She tried. She finished fourth, but she didn't get the required timing, so she couldn't make it to the next round. So she's out of that competition. But she's got one competition that can make to the Cycling Federation and the Sport Minister. They are saying clearly that the cycles that she will use for that event will be available for her today. So there was more like a miscommunication. Like you said, it was impromptu. I don't think the Cycling Federation were aware that she was going to participate in that event, and so they did not prepare for a cycle, for a bike for her to participate in it. So it is what it is. Yet again, this tells you how poorly our team Nigeria has been prepared for this competition, and that tells you why so far. As of the 8th, let me scratch that. The 9th of August, which is almost to the end of the tournament, Nigeria failed to win a single medal in Paris. Really sad one.
You talked about the fact that they were not aware. There seems to be a lot that the Nigerian team is not aware of, especially going into something as important as the Olympics. Why then will we win a medal with this level of unpreparedness, this level of lackadaisicality when it comes to things like this? We see countries, there's a reason why the US is boasting of so many medals. They're topping the charts with over 80 medals, whether it's whatever color, right? They're topping the charts, and they have other countries following closely who have prepared for years to get to this one Olympics. Why then do we have this level of lackadaisical behavior, especially in sports, in a situation where we know we need these things? We know that we need some of the these exposure. We need the good news as Nigerians. It's not necessarily me that is winning the money, right? But when Nigeria wins, we're all happy.
The truth is this, Jesse. You sent something to me yesterday on the WhatsApp telling me what someone from the Philippines would get if she wins the gold medal. I told you it's not only them. In China, in North Korea, they make the price, the amount you make or what you are giving, the honor you are giving for winning a medal for your country at the Olympics is humongous. But I remember at the panel with the Minister of Youth and Sport Development, I asked the question, I said, sir, what will be the prize money for Nigerian athletes at the Olympics? And he told us clearly that for gold, $5,000, silver, $3,000, and bronze, $2,000. Now, this is the question. If a person wins a gold medal at the All Africa Games or the African Championship, they are giving $5,000. This is the biggest sporting event in the world. The best, the best athletes in the world gather, and you're giving the same $5,000, a powerful sum. And he said, I couldn't blame him. He said that's the money he could afford. For a country that spent over 12 billion naira to get their athletes to the Olympics and can't win a single medal. It tells a lot of questions. Let me now take you back to why Nigerians are really sad. A certain Boboro did one silver in Tokyo 2020. Now she's not in the medal table. If a woman won a bronze in the Tokyo 2020, now she finished fifth in the long jump, winning a long jump of 6.70. I can go on. Our basketball managed to qualify to the quarterfinals of the basketball competition for the first time in their history, but they were well beaten by a well-organized USA team. Look at our 4x100 yesterday. Disaster for male and female. You talked about the ASA. Sare, the cyclist who went there for the first time in Nigeria, having a cyclist, and couldn't even get a bicycle. So if you look at it, see, we should be preparing for the Olympics in the next 24 years. The fire brigade approach cannot work. You know, in those days, they'll tell you the Nigerian tenacity will be able to take Nigeria to the next level. It doesn't work anymore. Teams are catching on, they're putting structures in place, they're putting structures and systems in place, and they are doing well. Who would have believed a country as little as Lucia would win a medal at the 100 meters? It tells us that teams are putting structure. They know that sports is business, and they're putting the right system and structure in place. We don't see. As I'm speaking to you right now, United States are still at the Olympics, but they're already preparing for the next Olympics. They know that if you're surprised, if you check it, the islands that make it to this Olympics will not even be there by the time the Olympics comes next year. And they will still do beautiful well because they're preparing for the Olympics even years before the present one is even done and dusted with. But we seem to be, sorry, it seems like you said, like I listened to Mr. Larry, and they kept on saying 8 weeks. I think it's been benevolent. It's less than 8 weeks. 1 month, 4 weeks, 3 weeks. And then you get Nigerian outlets in the diaspora to gather. And when they gather, you know what it means. Quick fix. It's not working anymore.
It's interesting.
Football sport is garbage in, garbage out. It's garbage in, garbage out. We are not ready yet. And because we're not ready yet, this is what we will get after all our take at the Olympics. This is what we'll get. So it's as simple as that. We're this is just yes, can you hear me?
It's interesting that you said Nigerians in diaspora. That means because if you study some of these individuals who are outside the country, who are the ones participating, who represent Nigerians, you would see that none of them are in Nigeria. None of them are practicing in Nigeria. They're either in Canada, in US, like we have SA now, in Germany. They are from different countries. Which other countries are helping to invest in, beat these people up into shape, and then they now use that amount of dedicatedness that they've gotten from another country to represent Nigeria, and still we fall short by giving them lack of preparedness. I mean, it's just a very, very confusing situation that we're in.
See, let me wow you a bit. I know in Nigeria doesn't success anymore. The hope or the dream of a common Nigerian youth is to go abroad. Your best athletes are either running for a certain college or university abroad, and that's why they can even get the numbers to qualify for the Olympics. If you look at our homegrown athletes, how many of them finally made it to the Olympics? A microscopic few. Now you talk about Mosu. She's not Nigerian based. It's a Brume, not Nigerian based. Ophili, not Nigerian based. Your Tigers team are fully foreign based players. So what it tells you that, like you said, other countries are investing in sports. What they do is that they get our best talent, they give them scholarships, they begin to run for their school because they even take their college sports even as serious as the Olympics. So what happened to our college sports here in Nigeria? It's really sad. A certain Nigerian shot shooter wanted to throw for Nigeria. He threw a record of 75-49, which is still a record in Nigeria and in Africa, as I speak to you. But she threw a lesser distance at the Olympics this year, throwing for United States and she won silver. She dumped us because she couldn't participate at the Olympics 4 years ago due to the fact that Nigeria couldn't get her to be tested. And now, as I speak to you, she's not throwing for United States, and she won a silver medal at this Olympics. So we are not really, like you said, we're not serious. Until we begin to get sport as a business, we keep going in circles. Funny enough, I speak to journalists and we're like, oh, finally, let us end the tournament without winning a medal. Maybe this would be a wake-up call. For all Nigerian sports stakeholders to begin to know that sport is dying and dying gradually, slowly but surely. That's the big question. So, but wait and see. The race continues. The top level our last hope will be running today in the 400 in the 100-meter hurdles semi-final heat. We've got one wrestler as well who will be taking part in the Olympics proper. I'm trying to get her name right now. There are so many sports going down today, but we all know that, yes, there are so many sports going on, but the hope has to be talking about Mosu running the 100-meter hurdles. We have Dada Legetti, Adeyemi Mutua in wrestling. We have Esther Kolawole, also in wrestling, 62 kg, participating today. Ese Upeseraye, the girl who participated in the cycle, brought a bicycle yesterday. She's participating today, but we already know that this is her first Olympics. She may not be able to get what she wants to get. So, we have a weightlifter today, Joy Eze. In the 71 kg, she's participating today. Don't forget, one of our hopes again in weightlifting, Rafia Tulawal, also participated yesterday, but she finished fifth. That's not breaking her personal record. So, We keep going down in circles, man. So what happens that they fall by 100 meters, both male and female, and absolutely disaster. So they say they pick their personal best, but they were not close to what you expect in the world. Headed to this Olympics, you knew my stake jersey. I was never optimistic, and now the result is coming out. The minister said 1996 is the target to supersede it, but I tell you, this will be our worst ever since we started participating at the Olympics. Wow, waiting to see what Toboloma can bring. She looks like she's the only hope for Nigeria right now in the remaining days at the Paris Olympics.
All right. Well, watch and see Toby Amuson today. Hopefully, we get something out of it. Let's make it for no loss, right? Make it for no loss. Hopefully, but at the end of it all, maybe if we had a video coverage of this particular this year's Olympics, maybe that would act as a deterrent for Nigerians who always go unprepared, especially to things as big as the Olympics. Thank you so much, Nonso, for your time this morning. Unfortunately, that's as much as we can take. Hello, Nonso.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's nice to be part of the show.
All right. All right, to you listening, it's been a long week that we've had so far. Oh, Mo. I can't wait to sit down and rest. It's been a long week. Hopefully, if you're going out to protest tomorrow, make sure that you are going out there peacefully. If you must go out, make sure that you're not used as an element to cause disruption on the streets, whether it's from Lagos, Abuja, Kano, Kaduna, Katsina, wherever it is you might be protesting from. Make sure that you are not used as an element to cause confusion in that particular protest. Thank you so much for always listening to Voice of the People, 96.1 FM. My name is Gesire Agua. Good morning to you. Coming up at 9 a.m. is Ogendigbo, and today is Wangbede, so make sure that you're listening raptly with rapt attention, keeping your dial locked and loaded on VOP